Several times during Sunday morning's debate here at Fairmont Hot Springs, Jon Tester and Tim Sheehy found themselves in agreement about which issues are key for Montana, but they laid out some clear differences in how they want to address them. The hour-long debate was sponsored by the Montana Broadcasters Association and the Greater Montana Foundation. Sheehy and Tester both said they're concerned about issues like housing costs and the threat from China. Both candidates accused their opponents of politicizing border policy, Sheehy calling President Biden's recent executive action pandering, and Tester saying Congress was wrong not to advance a proposed border deal earlier this year.
That bill went nowhere. Why? Because, quite frankly, people were told not to vote for it because they wanted to keep it a political issue in this country. It's one of the reasons my opponent said he wouldn't vote for the bill if he was in the Senate before the bill was even released to read. Truth is, I was sent to Washington, D.C. to solve problems. There was a solution. Congress failed.
This was an intentional border crisis, and now they're trying to fool us to say we're going to solve it before we get there. And time again, Joe Biden and Senate Democrats, including Jon Tester, have had the opportunity to shut down that border, pass legislation to do so. Instead, we've had messaging bills that are nothing but political theater that have continued this terrible border crisis. It's time to shut it down.
The two men also sparred over their positions on abortion.
I'll always protect the three rights for women: rape, incest, life of the mother. And at some point, the life of the baby does matter. At some point, when the baby's viable, when it can feel pain, when it can come out of the womb and be a healthy child to grow and become our next generation, that baby has rights too. And we have to have common sense protections for the baby's life as well.
For you to say that we're killing babies at 40 weeks is total BS. The bottom line is nobody's talking about government taxpayer payment for abortions. What we're talking about is who makes the decision. Do you want a politician or a bureaucrat or a judge to make the decision? If you do, vote for him. If you want the woman to make the decision, vote for me.
Sheehy said Montanans want to see change in Washington, D.C., and sought to tie Tester to the policies of the Biden administration. Tester said there are issues he has and will push back against the administration on, but said he's proud of things like the infrastructure bill passed 2 years ago.
This agenda coming out of this White House has been empowered by the Democrat-controlled Senate, and primarily by a deciding vote that could have stopped so many of these bills, but 95% of the time supported them. Jon Tester and I can both be good men who want the best for the future. We can also disagree on how that should be achieved. And right now, Democrat control of the White House and the Senate has led our nation to the worst condition we've been in 40 years.
Something's been talked about my entire life and never been done. To make sure every road, bridge, people are wired with broadband, electrical transmission grid is up to 21st century standards. Things like the PACT Act, which deals with toxic exposure for our veterans, never been passed. If you want to say I'm deciding to vote to defeat that, I think it would be a bad decision.
The general election is now less than 5 months away. At Fairmont Hot Springs, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.